This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz Podcast.
This radio and television program is a shared community. We argue, we fight, we laugh about the things we want to talk about, and there was an all-out war during the break. Everyone arguing about what to talk about. You'd think the Patriots would be the obvious place to start, but you'd be wrong. And here's why you'd be wrong. One, Stugotz is beefing with J.J. Walker of Good Times.
Yeah.
Two, David Blatt has said something, and we need to check in on him immediately. And three, for some reason, Louis Riddick has sound on DB play that Mike Ryan is insistent that we play. Mike Ryan is fighting for Louis Riddick on DB play.
And me and Guillermo also think the Eagles should trade Carson Wentz.
Right. Okay. There's that in play too. So and also Robin Williams has a documentary coming out. Well, a documentary about Robin Williams is coming out, and
yeah, he didn't make a premiere.
That is correct. And in celebrity, that is one of the ones I want to watch. I want to watch. If you're telling me HBO is digging into the life of Robin Williams, the life and death of Robin Williams.
Adnan saw it. It got 4 Maple Leafs.
It's got to be. It's got to be good. If
Highest honor.
This subject, Robin Williams lived a rich and decadent and tormented life. And so I'd like to see a documentary. HBO delves into those waters. I want to see where that ends up. But we begin with Stugotz's beef with J.J. Walker of Good Times.
I don't know what happened.
To the dismay of Mike Ryan, who wanted to go badly to Louis Riddick DB play. What is happening with you? For those of you who don't know, Good Times is a very popular show in the mid-'70s, early '80s.
Yeah, I got a tweet.
Jimmy J.J. Walker was the star of said show.
Yes.
Is he still dating Ann Coulter?
He was dating Ann Coulter. Guillermo, put on the poll. Weirder pairing. J.J. Walker and Ann Coulter, or Baron Davis and Laura Dern?
Wow.
Yeah, go have at it, kids. At Le Batard Show. And throw on there while you're at it, Flavor Flav and Bridget Nielsen. Throw that up there while you're at it.
That's a good one. So Josh Cohen, who works at an affiliate up in Palm Beach, ESPN West Palm, he sent a tweet, I guess yesterday. I'm just seeing it today. I had the longest and most surreal conversation yesterday at Polo Brunch with Jimmy J.J. Walker about how much he hates Stugotz and our style of radio. It was 90% him just telling me why he hates Stugotz. Can't make this up. I have no idea what I've done to J.J. Walker, and I simply responded to Josh Cohen because forget about J.J. Walker. You were at a Polo Brunch? Who goes to those things? A little hoity-toity.
Not a little hoity-toity. I mean, a Polo Brunch is a lot of hoity-toity. A Polo Brunch?
Does it get more hoity-toity than a Polo Brunch?
J.J. Walker and Ann Coulter were at the Polo Brunch after a torrid night of romance and sexual pyrotechnics. J.J. Walker needed to fill up on carbs.
But what did I do to J.J. Walker? I don't
know what you did to J.J. Walker.
He's been on the show a couple of times. Do you recall a time where I was mean to J.J. Walker?
No. I remember J.J. Walker being on with us many years ago, 10 years ago. And what I remember about that interview was him saying he could no longer find things funny because he had heard everything in comedy. And J.J. Walker, it was like it really seemed like a tormented lament to walk through your retirement, unable to find anyone funny because you knew where all the funny was, and no one could ever surprise you with the funny. I remember that part of the interview distinctly because I'm like, really? Kid Dynamite, you figured it out? Nothing else can be funny.
That's got to stink when everything ceases to be funny, yes.
That stinks.
It's the worst.
So, speaking of funny, Mike Ryan wants to get to this pass interference, defensive back talk. Louis Riddick, what's good about this sound here?
You can't play DB if you're looking at the wrong thing. Mm-hmm. If you're trying to see too much, you see nothing. Mm-hmm. You got to try and see a little bit, and you see everything.
Oh, that's wise.
That's a fortune cookie.
I wish I could open fortune cookies. That's the next ESPN app. You open a fortune cookie, bang. Louis Riddick hits you with life wisdom.
You can't play DB if you're looking at the wrong thing. Mm-hmm. If you're trying to see too much, you see nothing. Mm-hmm. You got to try and see a little bit, and you see everything.
A fortune cookie.
Fortune cookie. Speaking of fortune cookies, the guys have been playing this weird game in private. It's the Cavs time capsule game. And I want to understand the game better because we haven't done very much with it on air, and what we're celebrating this weekend in the time capsule. Guillermo, explain what this game is that you guys have been playing in private.
Oh, it was such a big weekend for the time capsule. We had 2 things checked off the list.
Hold on, but you need to explain to people what the time capsule is because I don't even understand what the time capsule is.
I'm getting there. So this is how it works. A week ago, me and Mike were privately before the show talking about how the Cavs have a pattern of events that happen every year around this time. And we started saying, like, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. So we started writing it down, and we dated it 1/12/18. So we're like 10 days into this time capsule, and things are flying off of it already. It's crazy. So this weekend in the time capsule, we heard probably the craziest thing on the time capsule. David Blatt came out of nowhere and addressed the Cavs situation.
Wait a minute, but what was on the time capsule? What does it say on the time capsule?
Well, the David Blatt specific one was just David Blatt says something. And that was checked off the
list. Okay, so this was checked off this weekend.
Yeah, this is great.
Do we
Also
have
this
the sound?
weekend-
Do we have that sound, Mike, or we don't have that sound?
It happened in Turkey. We're working on getting the actual sound.
But what did he say? What did David Blatt say?
He took a dig at the Cavs' lack of defense because he was coaching the Turkish All-Star game because things are going really well for David Blatt right now.
Well, that's where LeBron sent him. He sent him to Turkey, yes.
Hope we don't give up as many points as the Cavaliers gave up. Boom. Something.
Something. Little dig.
All right, so is that it?
Check that off the list.
Is the David Blatt time capsule done? Is that it?
Yeah, that's closed. That's off the list now.
How many time capsules are there?
Well, there's one. There's
one time capsule.
There's
with
0
several things
actual
in it.
time capsules.
Yeah,
man.
it's
a
a
piece
notebook.
of paper
Yeah.
that it's
These are
torn
kind of
out
the things LeBron says when he's about to leave your team, or things that happen around.
Things
just
that happen.
events that happen to the Cleveland Cavaliers around this time every year. Another thing, Dan, Ty Lue. Job's in jeopardy.
What do you mean it's in jeopardy?
Oh, there's
In
already
jeopardy,
talk. We don't know what's going to happen with him. LeBron's already addressing it. I don't know what's going to happen with the future. Come on, Dan. Wake up.
Check.
Big weekend.
They lost.
weekend.
They lost to Oklahoma City at home and gave up $148.
He gave you if the season ended right now, we could get bounced out of the playoffs early.
Yeah, he said that too.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me hear Ty Lue. Let me hear Ty Lue. Now, I want you to imagine Ty Lue as a man who is totally underwater. And I want you to imagine that he's got a tiny, tiny straw in his mouth. And through that straw, as his face gets engulfed with not otherwise being able to breathe, this is what he's saying.
I think at times matchup based, it's tough matchups a lot on the floor, but they respond not giving up on us and we're not giving up on them. So that's not a problem at all. That wouldn't be the case.
Weird way to use his final breaths. He's not giving up, but maybe, and look at this LeBron James sound, you will have the answer as to why it is that Ty Lue needs to tell everybody he's not giving up. So really, this is the way that he's defending that he will not give up. Perhaps this is the reason that he has to utter such a defense because of this said by LeBron James.
I will hope not. I mean, I really don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with our team. I have no idea what's the conversations been going on. I'm just, for me personally, been trying to stay as laser sharp as I can to keep my guys ready to go out and play. And obviously, it hasn't resulted in wins, but I got to stay as fresh and mentally as much as I can, even with the struggles. I can't worry about job securities and trades and things of that nature. I'm stay as focused as I can every night to go out and compete and try to help us win ball games.
He doesn't know.
Next year, Dan Gilbert's going to be paying 5 coaches and LeBron's not going to be there.
He doesn't know.
Don Le Batard.
You're an insane person. You need to be committed. You are running a finger over your lips, arguing with yourself while pushing a shopping cart barefoot. They should put you in a straitjacket and not allow you around other sports fans who are sane.
Stugats. This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
What's the matter with me, man? I mean, there was just a picture of me on TV dressed in a garbage bag with a hat on. I haven't shaved in probably 3 weeks, much like today. And I was eating paper.
Mm-hmm. You were on Countdown yesterday, and you look like a 12-year-old.
Yeah, I do.
In an oversized Blake Bortles jersey.
Yep.
Manufacturing. Did anyone call you on the idea that you were just manufacturing Blake Bortles' opinions on command? We're in a dangerous place in hot takery where Stugotz is available to have whatever opinion you'd like him to have.
Yep. As long as you pay me.
You throw a Bortles jersey on him, throw him on Countdown, and boom, Stugotz is there for you to play whatever character. He's the closest thing. Guillermo, put it on the poll. Is Stugotz the closest thing ESPN has ever had to Colbert? I want to ask the audience something because a lot of people are making a big deal now about Tom Brady running off the field. A referee congratulated him, and there was a suspicious disparity in penalties between the two teams in that Jacksonville got a football's field worth, and the Patriots got one penalty for 10 yards.
Yep.
But what I want to ask you guys, because the smoke and mirror Patriots did that without Gronk, did that in a way I don't even understand what I saw. Jacksonville played the perfect game and somehow lost anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm tired of the idea of every time this team wins, we have to accuse them of something when we don't understand how they keep winning. But what I wanted to talk to you about is it related to Boston fans. They've got a persecution complex, but they've also been persecuted. So they will notice that today's Patriots coverage on this show is author James Patterson, who wrote a novel about Aaron Hernandez, All-American Murder.
Right.
So we are going to talk. Is it a novel? It's not a novel. It's because sometimes the way that you get away with writing, reporting things that are on the cusp of true and not true is just file it under novel and people can wonder whether it's true or not. So I don't know. Is James Patterson reporting the Aaron Hernandez story as fact, as biography, or is he reporting it as a novel? Regardless, James Patterson is going to be on with us at 12:30 Eastern to talk about that. But what I wanted to ask you as it related to Brady, Max Kellerman has been saying for a couple of years now that Brady's decline is going to fall off a cliff. And he's basing that based on all of history's aging at that position. It's a sound argument, even as Brady keeps taking a bat to it, even as Brady goes to 3 of 4 Super Bowls after I've said that the way that you notice decline in old quarterbacks is accuracy on long ball. He's been to 3 of 4 Super Bowls since then.
Yep.
And this is what I want to ask you. I remember the first time I noticed this, Stugotz. All-Star game, Cal Ripken Jr. Cal Ripken Jr., back when baseball was the number one sport in America, and Cal Ripken Jr. was as big a star as we had. In the All-Star game, his final All-Star game, I believe, he hit a home run. And the immediate response of everyone afterward was, instead of enjoying the moment that sports gave you, was to be cynical and wonder whether the pitch had been grooved for Cal Ripken so he could have his moment.
It was.
Since then, I have seen a cynicism plague sports coverage throughout. And this is what I want to ask you. And I understand if Patriots fans aren't having it today. Look, man, you're the best thing I've ever seen. I've never seen in a salary cap sport anybody who could take advantage of all the advantages the way your organization has. Your organization is the best I've ever seen in sports. And this is not meant to take anything away from that. It's simply to ask this question. Stugotz, when faced with a quarterback who is aging in a way that has no precedent in the history of aging, is there any particular reason that people aren't questioning that? That it's not, and that, man, we climbed into Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning doesn't look the part on pharmaceuticals. And Al Jazeera was climbing around in his wife's stuff trying to get at the hormones.
Right.
And so what I'm asking you is it an unfair question to wonder when faced with something that has literally no precedent in the history of football or aging to be like, how?
No, it's not an unfair question to ask. How? How is he still doing this? Why is he still doing this? Wanting to know how it's possible that no other quarterback. Now, Drew Brees is 39, Dan, and he's still playing at a pretty high level, but not this level. Not 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. Not 7 consecutive AFC championship games.
And maybe the answer is Maybe the answer is the rules have been changed so much for quarterbacks to protect quarterbacks, combined with nutrition has gotten a lot better and quarterbacks can age better. I'm just saying that what you're seeing presently from Tom Brady has no historical precedent. It's why Max Kellerman has been so comfortable making the argument for as long as he has that soon Brady's going to fall off a cliff, because every quarterback who's arrived at his age, he's not just doing that off the top of his head. Any quarterback throughout history who has been any good drops precipitously headed toward 40 years old. It's not what you saw yesterday, where against the best defense in the sport, without Gronk, without Edelman, with nothing to speak of, down 20-10 late, he's still going down the field.
Figures it out. Yeah. Gets it done. Does the mystique of Belichick help him in terms of people asking those questions? Do they get muted a little bit because of the coach?
Yeah, that helps him because Belichick's going to mix and match. But I just wonder, though, what's the fair way to ask the questions? Is today not the day? Is it never the day? What is the fair way to ask the question, hey, this has no precedent. Can it simply be that Tom Brady, as a human ager, is someone who doesn't have precedent? Because they keep telling me, well, he doesn't eat bananas. I'm like, okay, that's the reason.
Well, that's all it takes.
No, he's got a very serious diet. I know, but I know a lot of people who are obsessive compulsive. You got Bill Romanowski ionizing his own water and checking his fecal matter for nutrients. You got Karl Malone taking a helicopter to the top of a mountain and doing the defensive position all the way down the mountain. Like, a lot of these guys are crazy. Tom Brady is crazier than all of them? Than all of them. That he could add 5 years to his life, to his playing career.
It seems like he can play another 5 years, too.
That's the thing.
Yes.
That is the thing. He's running off Garoppolo because he's like, listen, Bill, is he a vampire? Because I know I'm a vampire. You got a vampire under the salary cap. Get rid of Garoppolo. He's not a vampire. Brady's still going to be doing this at 70.
Yeah. And Bill's like, but Tom, you're 40, you're 41. Like, Bill, I mean, come on, I got Jimmy Garoppolo here. And Brady's like, no, Bill, listen, Bill, I'm going to do this for another 10 years, at least. At least we're fine. Trust me,
Bill,
we're
listen
fine.
to me. Bill, listen to me. I'm going to take a break from winning my 17th Super Bowl to go to your eulogy. I'm going to be here long after all of you playing this position. I've got the right doctor. This Guerrero guy.
Yeah,
honest, why is he not running all of medicine?
Well, he has a history, Dan.
Yeah. Guillermo, put it on the poll.
There's that time that he said he could prevent cancer.
Guillermo, put it on the poll. Should Guillermo be running, should Guerrero be running the FDA?
Good save, yeah.
Should Guerrero be running the FDA?
Don Le Batard.
The Dolphins drafted Tunsil, played him at guard, let go of Brandon Albert, who was bought to replace Chris Long, who was taken with the number one. Up, damn it.
Jake Long.
Damn it.
It's all right, man.
Cost me $1.
Stugats.
That's pretty egregious. I don't know. Should have just
It's his brother. Well, how is that egregious?
That's super egregious because they are not related.
Wow. That's a $5 fine right there. Okay. Right out of the gates.
Chris Long?
You confused Chris Long
and
with
Howie,
the offensive lineman from Chicago. That's actually his brother.
So the correction made it worse. I should have just shut up.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
Guillermo, put it on the poll. Does anyone in the history of ESPN look better in a suit than Ryan Clark?
Wow.
Does anyone in the history of ESPN?
Oof. Dude's got it cooking.
Yeah, he does.
Cooking with gas.
Mm-hmm.
So Stugats is reporting, and his weekend observations are 30 minutes from now. 30 minutes from now, you will get Stugats' weekend observations. But Stugats is reporting not a schism in the Patriots locker room, but a frostiness.
Yeah.
He is reporting frostiness in the Lakers locker room.
The Patriots, that's a fun.
The Patriots locker room.
Although there is in the Lakers as well. So
the frostiness in the Patriots locker room. Perhaps you hear it here from Bob Kraft, the owner of the Patriots, courtesy of the NFL Network.
There's a lot of strong-minded people, but when you have something good going, everyone's got to get their egos checked in and try to hold it together.
Guillermo, put on the poll. Does Bob Kraft's voice sound like the start of a horn of a clown car?
There's a lot of strong-minded people, But when you have something good going, everyone's got to get their egos checked in and try to hold it together.
It's a great observation by you. Voting yes on that.
I like the sound in the background. What's that happening in the background at the end? I imagine that's the mystical sound that accompanies everything that the Patriots do.
Oh, that's the NFL Films bells.
Is it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so that is the mystical sound that follows the Patriots wherever it is they go.
There's a lot of strong-minded people, but when you have something good going, everyone's got to get their egos checked in and try to hold it together.
All right. Now, Bill Belichick's not interested in the ego portion of this equation. He was asked, hey, Bill, can you just give Tom a bunch of compliments? And his response was no.
Can you just speak to the resourcefulness of Tom dealing with something like that midweek and then coming out and playing a huge game like that?
I mean, look, Tom did a great job, and he's a tough guy. We all know that, all right? But, I mean, I'm not talking about open heart surgery here.
Frosty.
Stugotz is reporting frostiness. Belichick, you made it seem for 20 years that we are always talking about open heart surgery here. Except when Tom pulls it out at the end and you got nothing for him and you're running all these gadget plays, these flips back and forth, and Tom says to you, hey, Bill, I'll take it from here. We'll drag your old wrinkled butt to the Super Bowl. I got it. Best defense ever. You can't do anything. I got it from here. I'll beat him with Amendola.
Belichick also doesn't like you reading into these trick plays, thinking that's any sort of desperation. He doesn't think it's anything.
Bill, during the game, you guys pulled out 2 trick plays. How long would you say that you kind of keep those in the holster, and what goes into the decision process of when to employ those in the game?
Yeah, I don't know about the first question. We run the plays when we feel like it's the right play to call at the right time. That's what play calling is.
I'm telling you, this is the end. They are nearing the end, the two of them, and it might be in a couple of weeks because they are breaking rules of their relationship, and that's what happens towards the end. It was always supposed to be, regardless of the injury, Bill, I had open heart surgery, and Belichick just threw that out the window. And then Brady yesterday, in response to Belichick, he said, listen, on the stage, by the way, Bill doesn't like me talking about injuries, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. They're breaking all the rules, man. They're breaking up. It's over.
Okay, except it's a 5.5-point favorite in the Super Bowl against a team that I don't understand why they're favored against, except that they're favored against them just because you assume that Brady and Belichick should be. Like, as far as I can tell, you guys are like, yeah, I saw what. Wait, yeah, Nick Foles played better than Brady, yes sir. Yeah, don't care.
Yeah.
Don't care.
Nick Foles played a pretty good defense, too.
Yes, Nick Foles did much more to a very good defense as well.
I think it's because of the Super Bowl matchup is Belichick and Brady against a guy who obviously lives in a houseboat and Napoleon Dynamite.
That's part of it. That is part of it. Doug Peterson, does he live on a houseboat? I thought that we agreed that Chip Kelly was the guy who always was washing his boat on the weekend when you came by, and that Doug Peterson was the guy who was out with the woman from college who was the hottest woman 20 years ago while Ben McAdoo was back at the house taking care of her 6 kids.
I think you're right.
Didn't we agree that that's what Doug Peterson? Please look through the files there.
He is, yes.
I want to be accurate about this, and please get the accurate Doug Peterson.
Okay, Doug Peterson looks like a couple things. He looks like Myrtle Beach.
No, that's true. That's very. Guillermo, put it on the poll. Does Doug Peterson look like Myrtle Beach?
Doug Peterson looks like the husband who anxiously brushes his teeth for 15 minutes to try and hide the scent of whiskey and cigarettes from his judgmental in-laws he's meeting at church later that morning.
Also, that is Doug Peterson.
Oh, this is the one I was thinking about. Doug Peterson looks like he lives on a boat that never leaves the dock. Totally different than a houseboat. Oh, yeah. Doug Peterson looks like he's almost ready to confront his neighbors because their 6-year-old daughter has drawn chalk on his driveway. Doug Peterson looks like the guy dating your mom who calls you champ even though you're 26. Doug Peterson looks like the uncle that gives you your first beer.
He does. Myrtle Beach.
Find my Doug Peterson. I will not rest until my Doug Peterson. It's in the McAdoos. you got to check in the McAdoo.
I love that we have a file, and it's like a book. I mean,
that was from this is the 2017. I don't have the 2016 one because that was in the McAdoo's that made the tournament last.
All right. Well, in the interim, please, can you play the sound of Jeff Darlington of the NFL Network breaking down the game, Jeff Darlington style, before the game? Is this from sound from before the game? Breaking down a preview of the Jacksonville Patriots game?
This is providing insight as to why the Jags lost right here from Jeff Darlington.
Okay.
In the locker room behind me, one of the messages that Doug Marrone wants his team to understand is that they can be loose, they can play loose. That is what defines them. That's the kind of team they are. But he also wants them to tighten the screws and make sure that they realize in this stadium against this team, nothing less than perfection will get it done.
Wait a minute. You can't loosen it up and tighten the screws.
Oh, yes, you can.
No, you cannot. That's a cruddy report. You can't report that he wants them to be loose while tightening screws. Put it on the poll, Guillermo, at Le Batard Show. Can it be an accurate report if the report is they need to be loose but also tighten the screws?
Doug Peterson looks like the high school tennis coach who never plays against his students because he's never played tennis before.
No! No,
pretty good, though.
He may be accurate, but that is not the Doug Peterson I want.
Where is it?
I don't know. I'll have to find it.
That's in the 2016 pile. And this one.
But you're saying it's in the McAdoo file. Is that what you're saying?
We'll look it up. We'll find it. We'll bring it to you next.
Don Le Batard.
Is this a middle school show or a big boy show?
Stugats.
It's kind of a middle school show.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
During the break, Stugats proclaimed football stupid.
It really is, man. Because if that Diggs play never happens, Case Keenum to Diggs, it's the Saints versus the Eagles. And I believe the Saints to be the best team in the NFC. And we just rarely ever get the best two teams. I'm not even certain the Patriots are the best team in the AFC after watching yesterday's game. But if that play never happens, it's Saints and Eagles. And I believe Drew Brees would have beaten Nick Foles in Philadelphia.
Well, I'll go a step further than that. If Julio Jones doesn't slip on an out route
there you go.
In the end zone, the Eagles aren't even there. But no, we can do that one possession games. We can do that all the time. Man, look, this is another reason I don't understand why the Eagles are such a big dog. When the Patriots win the Super Bowl, they don't beat anybody up.
Right.
It's all 2, 3, 4 points, 5 points. Mike was saying that their biggest victory was last year against Atlanta. Their biggest point spread was last year against Atlanta when they were down 28-3.
It is interesting. We got an email here that, and the Westgate confirms this, the Westgate Sportsbook, that if Carson Wentz was the Eagles' starting quarterback in the Super Bowl, it'd be a pick'em. So they're essentially telling you Wentz is worth 5.5 points.
Well, I didn't understand why Jacksonville was such a big dog against the Patriots, and I don't understand why the Eagles are such a big dog against the Patriots. The Eagles, all season long, have been, by any metric you choose to use, the best team in football, and it doesn't much matter who their quarterback is. Wentz wasn't that good this year. He was fine, but he was great because that team is great. Foles looked like that yesterday, not because Foles is great. That team has been great all season. They maul people up front. That offensive line is totally overwhelming, so overwhelming that Vikings defense was really good all season long and looked like paper mache yesterday.
Right. And the Eagles lost their left tackle, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Jason Peters is their left tackle, but that crazy guy they got on the right, who's that? Lane
Johnson.
That guy, what's up with that guy?
He gave an interview yesterday where he's like, I got to admit, I'm feeling a little buzzed right now.
That guy's great. I want to get behind everything that guy is. It sounds like he's just a lingering menace. Guillermo, what do you have for us on what Doug Peterson looks like, please?
Ben McAdoo looks like the guy that married the hottest girl from high school 20 years too late and is taking care of her 6 kids while she's at the bar with her ex. Her ex is Doug Peterson.
That's the definitive Doug Peterson?
I thought it was. You could put them all up there at Le Batard Show. You could put the whole bunch up there and let the audience decide.
I only think you need to put 2. The one Guillermo just read and Myrtle Beach.
Mike, Chael Sonnen fought this weekend. He beat Rampage Jackson. This is courtesy of the Paramount Network. I sent Chael a note last week. I'm like, I miss everything we used to be. And he's like, let's get the band back together.
God made 6 billion men, and none of them are as tough as Chael Sonnen, Frank Mir, and Fedor Emelianenko. Boys, neither one of you is the best, but one of you is next.
I got to know, if you get a chance, which one do you want to fight?
I have no preference. I got the biggest arms, I got the greatest charm, and I do all the harm.
Doesn't matter who you fight.
1-on-1, 2-on-1, or 5-on-1. I'll make them all need 9-1-1.
How great would it be if that's what Brady did after games?
So much
How great
fun,
would that be?
Yep.
How great if Tom Brady, after beating the Jags, gave that kind of press conference on the field after the game.
God made 6 billion men, and none of them are as tough as Chael Sonnen, Frank Mir, and Fedor Emelianenko. Boys, neither one of you is the best, but one of you is next.
I got to know, if you get a chance, which one do you want to fight?
I have no preference. I got the biggest arms, I got the greatest charm, and I do all the harm.
Doesn't matter who you fight.
1-on-1, 2-on-1, or 5-on-1. I'll make them all need 9-1-1.
Stugatz' game notes next.